The Cambridge Fire Department has been working around the clock since 3 a.m. when the water levels in the Lamoille River started to rise at an alarming rate. I'm going to step aside now. This is right at the edge of Route 15 where you can start to see the water take over. Thanks for joining us. I'm Devin Bates in for Lauren Maloney. Well, weeks after their respective State of the State speeches, Vermont and New York's governors had to tell lawmakers how they plan to pay for everything. The Milton Parks Department hands out giant pumpkin seeds at several events throughout the spring, and a lot of people pick them up, probably thinking they might be able to grow a giant, beautiful pumpkin like this. But in other cases, they're not so lucky. They end up with this. Well, Amanda, what you just said earlier about how the flakes are starting to maybe get a little bit bigger in some places and starting to come down a little heavier, that is certainly the case here in Plattsburgh. As you can tell, I'm starting to accumulate a little bit of it. Well, the Sanders campaign and its supporters certainly feeling good heading into this rally in Milford, New Hampshire. Now, only part of the precincts were reporting from Iowa when he took the stage, but he led in the popular vote and was also faring very well overall. The walls of the Hale House in Dixville Notch are filled with the history of primaries past, and at midnight, the town of 12 wrote a new chapter by casting the first ballots of the 2020 primaries. It's a tradition that dates back to 1960 when Neil Tillotson secured a polling location at Dixville Notch, and since 2002, his son Tom has served as moderator for the First in the Nation festivities.
He had moved here and realized that if he wanted to vote, he'd have to drive an hour to Berlin or to Lancaster in order to cast his ballot. And coincidentally, he ran into someone that told him about the midnight voting tradition in New Hampshire. And he said, that sounds like a good idea. I can vote right here.
Tillotson's role as moderator comes with responsibility. To maintain First in the Nation status, he had to make sure all 5 of the town's voters were ready to cast ballots at midnight.
I've done it with up to 38, and that's a little nerve-wracking. But it's a process of just counting noses and where's somebody, and somebody go to the dorms and find out if this person is sleeping.
It's a tradition that almost ended this primary cycle because at least 5 people are needed to keep Dixville Notch open as a polling location. Thankfully, Les Otten had ties to the town and moved back with a simple motive for doing so.
It's an extraordinary opportunity to build a business and save a community. It's something that I can look to my grandchildren and say, hey, I was part of that and I helped a community. So, when I'm covered with dirt, what's going to remain is what it was that I did with my life. And I think that being part of the political process and building a business in a depressed area is a good reputation, a good thing to take with you.
In Dixville Notch, Devin Bates, Local 22 News. There's something powerful in the little things that can bring complete strangers together. Every week for 3 months, students in the J.J. Flynn Elementary School after-school program have bonded over arts and crafts with seniors right down the road at the Elderwood Nursing Home. It's all been possible thanks to 2 UVM medical students who wanted to bridge the generation gap, but even they had no idea how special that could be.
The seniors, fully light up when the kids arrive, and they say, when are they coming, when are they coming, and they're constantly watching the lobby for them.
When the kids arrive, the kids know who they're looking for. They run to a table, they find a seat, and they're so excited when their friend is there. And we didn't necessarily know if it was going to have that kind of impact on the kids. We weren't sure how they would react, but I am so proud of the way that the kids have adapted and how much they're able to have a friendship here.
One of the seniors is an artist, and for a few visits, she created a lesson plan and said it was an empowering experience to be able to bring her skills to the table, knowing the kids are counting on her. Learning isn't a one-way street, though.
I think it's the helpfulness. They help us. We've learned from them a lot.
Yeah.
And it makes us feel young.
Yeah.
The kids call them their grandpals, and on their last visit, they all took pictures together so they can always have a memory of their special friend. As it turns out, for one dynamic duo, Helen and Dakaya, however, they have plans for Christmas Day.
We're gonna come here with my mom and my two brothers, and we're gonna see Helen. She said she has no family, so we're gonna get her a present.
Towns' mom always had us labeled as the 5 Musketeers growing up. We all played football together. This is Townsend here, myself, our friend Ron, Tommy Millay, and Adam Filio.
Nicholas Damiani met Townsend Williams in 7th grade playing for Peru Middle School's football team, and their group of friends was inseparable through senior year.
If there was something that that we could do that, that'd be thrilling, exciting. He was always game for those types of things. So our friendship, it was always kind of built around that, seeking the next adventure and what we could do to kind of push the limits, so to speak.
A few years after the Five Musketeers graduated from high school, Nicholas and Townsend joined the Vermont National Guard together. Eventually, Townsend enlisted in active duty, and although the two keep in touch now and again, their busy lives make it hard to reconnect. You can imagine the surprise Nicholas felt when he decided to check in on President Trump's State of the Union address on Tuesday, and this scene unfolded on the screen in his living room.
I am thrilled to inform you that your husband is back from deployment. He is here with us tonight, and we couldn't keep him waiting any longer.
As it was happening, I'm kind of commenting to my wife, and I was like, hey, that's Amy on the TV. And then, just to see the atmosphere around her and, hear a little bit about the struggle that she goes through on the family side with his deployments, and then to see them reunited, I just think the community as a whole really got a sense of pride.
And as for Townsend, Nicholas said he's still the same Peru kid he met on the football field years ago.
The moment he stepped out, he hasn't changed a whole bunch. Maybe a little less hair, but the smile on his face, just the way he held himself with a sense of pride, that's the Townsend we've always known. I think the biggest thing that I kind of took away from it all is just to see the amount of growth that one person can make. Knowing where we were as middle school, kids figuring it out to where he is now, this grown man that's decorated for his sacrifice, family man. Really, any of our goals are accomplishable. If we set our mind to it and we pick our path and we work hard, the end result can be pretty amazing. And for him to receive this honor and the opportunity, I just felt great for him and his family.
Welcome home, Sergeant Williams. Thank you.
As Vermont lawmakers enter the first legislative session of the new decade, they'll have to make a decision on a technology that could shape the future of Vermont's businesses, schools, and industries for generations. Despite Vermont being one of the first states to launch a formal investigation into the opportunities and challenges of artificial intelligence, those behind the report set to be delivered to the legislature next week say it's a game of catch-up.
The technology is going to evolve so fast that traditional systems of governance may not be able to keep up with it. We are at a crossroads, and the decisions we make now are going to drastically affect the trajectory of artificial intelligence.
It's far from a new technology, but the opportunities and risks have arrived as it's grown from an algorithm used to win a game of checkers into the Amazon Alexa, the self-driving car, and facial recognition software.
I've been reading a lot about autonomous vehicles, but it was just the other day that I actually was in one. And I just realized, the future is now. We're starting to get to the realm of AI being able to solve problems that it wasn't explicitly trained to do. It's super exciting to me.
John Cohn is an IBM fellow with 38 years of experience in the field and the chief scientist for the IBM Watson lab at MIT. So if his level of excitement about AI matches your level of concern, that's where recommended regulations come into play.
It's a need. We need a panel of experts, not just technologists, but across the board of society and being very diverse to have the different points of views and really understand where the impacts are going to come from.
It's an ambitious report, and like the technology it covers, its future is unpredictable.
The interesting part, tough part, exciting part will actually be, acting on those recommendations, and we're working with the legislature to make them happen. But I'm pretty proud of Vermont for doing this.